Well, hey there folks, recording this video because I'm trying to decide what to do with exam one. It was not really anywhere near what I had hoped. It was not what I thought that I had prepared you for. It did not look like, in most cases, the little study guide that I prepared for you helped you really figure out what to study for. So this is what I'm going to do. The grades, first of all, read like a weather report. High was in the 90s, lows were in the 30s and 40s. There was a pretty good distribution of grades between low 80s and mid 30s. But it's not what I want to use to create a midterm grade. It does not, I think, for the most part, reflect what you've learned. You didn't take that test well enough. You didn't know how to prepare for it or something. What I'm going to do is reopen the exam if I can figure out how to do it. I've never had a lot of luck reopening exams after the fact. But what I want to do is reopen the exam so that you can go in, you can read the answers that you put, you can see the grade that I posted on each question. You'll have to figure out what you did wrong on that question. For example, on the first question where you had to create the job summary, you might have gotten 11 out of 15 or 7 out of 15 or something. Unless I started putting some feedback on the first couple and quit, I don't think I put feedback on anybody. So you'll have to figure out what I didn't like about your answer, but you hopefully will be able to figure it out. So go in and look at the exam, look at the grade that you got on each question, try to figure out what you did wrong, and then with an open book format, I want you to create a Word document, maybe even take the Word document that I have attached below this video and type your answer into that Word document. And if you did real well on the question on the exam, you can maybe even copy and paste into the Word document from the computer screen and go with the same answer that you had. But by 11 p.m. on Thursday, October the 4th, you need to have emailed me version 2 of this test. After 11 p.m., no questions asked, I will not accept it. But anything that you email me before 11 p.m. on Thursday, October the 4th, I will regrade. And I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to average the two, I'm going to take the best of the two, I'm just going to take the second one and ignore the first like it never happened, unless, of course, you decide, you know, I got an 85 on this and I'm happy with that and I don't want to do it again. In that case, send me an email saying you're going to stick with the grade that you had. Most of you can improve a little bit at least. But before you do that, here's a couple of things to take into account. On question number 1, I gave you all the essential functions and I asked you to create a job summary. And I tried to talk in the videos. I know that I did in the classroom, and I might not have put this idea into the videos that I did online. But the job summary takes all of the essential functions and groups them into a couple of buckets. And a good job summary will list what those 3 or 4 buckets are. For an administrative assistant, the buckets might be maintaining the schedules of people, interacting with customers and visitors as they come in the door, and taking care of clerical types of things. Those are buckets, and then each of those buckets would have 3 or 4 essential functions. So the challenge on the job summary is to look at the essential functions that I've given you, figure out what the buckets are, and then create a couple of sentences that summarize what those buckets are. You don't have to give me all of the essential functions back. The candidate just needs to kind of be able to read what those buckets are and know whether they ought to be interested in the job and can do the job. All right, so that's question number 1. Just a quick 2 sentences, maybe short paragraph that lists what the buckets are. It doesn't really have anything at all to do with the knowledge, skills, abilities, other qualifications, those kinds of things. Question number 2, forget about question number 1. The behavioral question has nothing to do with the dog groomer. I have given you one of the essential functions, and you need to create for me a behavioral question that really gets to whether they can do that essential function or not. And notice that it has a couple of things. But one of the things is being able to work in a team, but the second thing is to accomplish a goal. So your question needs to really address both of those parts. And then question number 6, I referenced, because I didn't want to give part of the question in such a way that it would help you answer a different question on the test. The 3-part document that I mysteriously referred to was the job description that you created. And very simply, the first part is the summary and the essential functions. The second part is the job context with all of that supervision received and supervision given and contacts and hazards and physical demands and those kinds of things. The job context was part number 2. Part number 3 was the KSAOs and the education and experience. But I was afraid that if I said something about the job description in the workings of the question, it might have unfairly helped you answer a different question or two on the test. So when you answer question number 6, really what you're looking at is, how does having a well-developed job description help the company do whatever it has to do? How does it help the candidate do whatever he or she has to do? And how does it help the job holder, the employee, do what he or she has to do? What's the value of it for those people? The rest of those questions, you really ought to be able to go back to my note sheets that I posted, my PDF files that I posted out there. Assuming you can read my handwriting, most of those questions, other than 1, 2, and 6, go back directly to one of those note sheets. In fact, as I was creating this test, I had those note sheets laying out on the table in front of me, and I looked at those sheets and developed a question from the notes that I had on that sheet. So pull those things out, print those things, and work on this. So again, retake exam 1. Open it up, look at it, see what the answers were that you put, see the value that I put, the grade that I put for each question, and figure out what piece of that question you were missing. Compare it to the notes that I gave you and re-answer those questions, expanding on things that you didn't do well on, maybe answering things that you left blank, or changing the answer of things that you got wrong. One last thing that comes to mind is the one about the calculations. Part C said, it's very specific in the question, give it as a percentage with 2 decimal points. So 0.05 is not a correct answer. 5.00 is. Whether that's the answer to Part C or not, I'm not going to tell you, but in some cases you kind of got it, but you didn't do it in the specific format that I gave you in the thing. If you have questions, email me, but I hope most of you will take the time to redo this test and hopefully get a much better grade on this. I have to post midterm grades, I think it is this time next week. So if you get this thing to me by Thursday night, I can work Friday and Saturday and have a much better midterm grade for you than you would have if we stood pat where we are right now. But again, let me know if you have questions. You can post to the Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board in our class, or you can email me, you can text me. You can call me on my cell phone. I'm kind of hoping that you don't feel the need for that because once I get home, I like to put the thing down and go on to other things, but I'll be there if you need me. Hope this helps, and I hope you do better on this one than you did on the last one. Bye for now.